She's a woman from the street, and it shows. So when she walks into a high-end Beverly Hills boutique, the saleswomen see only what's on the surface: her profession, her class, and their eyes fill with a dismissive disgust. But the woman, for a moment, doesn't notice. She's captivated by a beautiful dress, something from a life she's only ever dreamed of.
How much is this?
I don't think this would fit you. It's very expensive. You're obviously in the wrong place. Please leave.
Humiliated, speechless, she leaves in shame. But what a difference a day makes. She returns. Not as the woman they rejected, but as the woman they could only dream of being. Perfectly dressed, unimaginably wealthy, radiating a confidence they cannot touch. She walks right up to the saleswoman who snubbed her, not for revenge, but to deliver a quiet, powerful lesson.
You work on commission, right?
Yes.
The saleswoman is left stunned, mortified. So how does a woman go from being thrown out of a store to having the power to buy the entire place in the span of just 24 hours? To understand that, we have to go back to the night before, to a wrong turn on Hollywood Boulevard, and a chance encounter that would change two lives forever. A few days earlier, Vivian is still on the street. Business is slow, the rent is long overdue, and then a gleaming, wildly out-of-place luxury car crawls down their street. Her friend Kit sends Vivian out to land the big fish. But the man isn't looking for a date. He's just lost and needs directions. Ever the opportunist, Vivian refuses to give them for free. $10, she says. Annoyed but with no other options, he pulls out a 20. Vivian doesn't have change. So, without a hint of shame, she climbs into the car and appoints herself his personal navigator. Later, the man asks for her name.
What's your name?
What do you want it to be?
It's her standard line for clients. But this client, Edward, isn't interested in a fantasy. He wants a real name. In the car, Vivian is horrified by his terrible driving. And being the direct person she is, she tells him he's ruining a perfectly good sports car. She expects an argument. What she doesn't expect is for him to pull over, get out, and offer her the driver's seat. Behind the wheel of a car she could only ever dream of driving, Vivian comes alive. She's an expert, talking a mile a minute about gears and engines, completely unfiltered and completely herself. And Edward is captivated. Her raw, unapologetic enthusiasm is a breath of fresh air. It's real. Intrigued by this woman who is so much more than what she appears to be, he starts asking about her rates.
$100 an hour. Pretty stiff.
Well, no. But it's got potential.
They arrive at the entrance of his lavish hotel. Edward says his goodbye, and Vivian, knowing her job is done, prepares to head back to the street. He watches her walk away, and for a moment he is the rich man in his glass tower, and she is a small, lonely figure on the street below. He sees her waiting for a bus, unwilling to even spend $1 of her hard-earned money on a taxi. And the distance between their two worlds suddenly feels wrong. He goes to her and agrees to her earlier offer. 1 hour, $100. Relieved to have the work, Vivian follows him inside. But before they even get to the lobby, he makes his first request, for her to cover up her revealing outfit with his coat. Vivian, however, is not a woman who can be easily covered up. As they walk through the pristine, luxurious hotel lobby, her bright, audacious personality clashes with the quiet elegance of the super-rich. She is loud, a little too touchy, and completely out of place. In the elevator, another guest gives her a look of pure, undisguised contempt. But Vivian is not the kind of woman who takes an insult lying down. She has a weapon of her own, a sharp, savage wit, and she is about to use it.
You know what's happened? I've got a runner in my pantyhose. I'm not wearing pantyhose.
First time in an elevator.
The penthouse is unlike anything she has ever seen. She explores it with a bold, swaggering confidence that is endearingly unsophisticated. A performance that brings an amused smile to Edward's face. But as the silence stretches, and he makes no move, her business instincts kick in. She awkwardly reminds him of the first rule of her profession: pay first. Once the transaction is complete, she's all business. But her preparations, a handful of colorful condoms, are met with a stunned silence. He stops her, clarifying his intentions. He just wants to talk. Vivian is floored. Of all the strange requests she's had, this might be the strangest. She readjusts, trying to play the part of a conversationalist. But the doorbell rings and she tenses, expecting trouble. It's just champagne. But the moment, the sudden closeness, his intense gaze, makes her heart race. She is a professional, but she is not made of stone. They begin to talk. Really talk. She learns he's divorced, between relationships. She notices, with a growing sense of unease, that he is the one serving her the champagne and strawberries. Worried that she isn't earning her money, she reminds him that the clock is ticking. And Edward, finally losing patience with her relentless focus on the transaction, makes a new offer. Not for another hour, but for the entire night.
How much for the entire night?
I couldn't afford it.
Try me.
$300.
Done.
But the night takes another awkward turn when Edward walks in on her in the bathroom. He sees her fumbling to hide something in her hand, and his mind immediately jumps to the worst conclusion: drugs. His gentle demeanor vanishes, replaced by a cold, sharp anger. He tells her to get out, but then he sees what she was hiding. It's not drugs. It's just a small box of dental floss. Vivian sheepishly explains she was just trying to discreetly clean her teeth after eating his strawberries. Edward is mortified by his own harsh judgment. He apologizes, captivated once again by her complete lack of pretense. For the rest of the night, however, he retreats into his work, leaving her completely alone. But Vivian doesn't need to be entertained. She watches old TV shows, laughing out loud, completely unself-conscious and wonderfully alive. And that sound, the sound of her genuine, unrestrained joy, is something Edward hasn't heard in years. It pulls him from his work. He sits down, simply watching her. The mood in the room shifts. He is no longer just a client. He is an audience, utterly enthralled. And Vivian, reading his gaze perfectly, shifts back into her professional role. She moves towards him, ready to fulfill her side of the bargain. But first, she lays down her rules.
But I don't kiss on the mouth.
Neither do I.
They had completed their first, surprisingly intimate transaction. When Edward emerges from the shower, he finds Vivian fast asleep, the wig and heavy makeup gone, revealing a soft, unguarded innocence he didn't expect to see. The next morning, she wakes up late. Seeing him busy with work, she prepares to leave as planned. Another job, another client. But Edward stops her. He asks her to stay for breakfast. And because he has no idea what she likes to eat, he has ordered everything on the menu. It's over this lavish, awkward meal that Vivian's curiosity about him finally bubbles to the surface. He explains his job. He buys failing companies and sells them off for parts, like stealing a car and selling the tires, she remarks, with a flash of street-smart brilliance. He is a billionaire, preparing a deal worth $1 billion. The gap between their worlds feels immense. She, a high school dropout. He, a golden boy with a pristine education. "Your parents must be so proud," she says with a touch of wistful envy. To which Edward just quietly smiles. But as she helps him with his tie, an act of such simple domestic intimacy, he begins to see her not as an employee, but as someone different, perceptive, real. Just then, his lawyer calls, reminding him of an important business dinner that night. "You'll need a date," the lawyer says. But as he listens, his attention is stolen by a new sound. Vivian's loud, joyful, and completely off-key singing from the bathtub. And looking at this carefree, captivating woman, Edward has a new and much more interesting idea. He hangs up the phone and simply watches her with a playful, amused smile. The silence stretches. And then, Vivian realizes he saw everything. Her ridiculous private concert. She is instantly mortified. But Edward isn't laughing at her. He's charmed by her. And so he makes a new, far bigger proposal. He wants to hire her, not just for the night, but for the entire week. The terms are simple. Be on call, and be obedient. Vivian, trying desperately to regain her composure and her professional upper hand, tells him it will cost him a fortune, to which Edward simply replies, "Name your price."
4,000.
6 nights at 300 is 1,800.
You want days too?
2,000.
3,000.
Done.
Holy shit!
And just like that, a deal is struck. For the next 6 days, Vivian is hired to play the part of Edward's girlfriend. Her first task, he hands her a thick wad of cash and tells her to go buy a new, more appropriate dress for their dinner that night. For Vivian, it feels like an impossible dream. Edward's sudden, strange proposal doesn't feel like a business transaction. For a woman who had almost given up, it feels like a rescue.
Baby, I'm gonna treat you so nice, you're never gonna wanna let me go.
3,000. 6 days. And Vivian, I will let you go.
Cash in hand, Vivian sets off for her Fairytale shopping spree. She imagines it will be a joyful, triumphant experience. But her appearance is met with a wall of cold, judgmental stares. The saleswomen don't see a customer. They see trash. One after another, they refuse to serve her. Her heart, hardened by years on the street, still finds itself aching from the blatant cruelty. She returns to the hotel, defeated and empty-handed, and soonly be intercepted by the hotel manager. He pulls her into his office. He makes it clear that he knows exactly who and what she is, and that the only reason she hasn't been thrown out is because she is the temporary guest of a very important man.
Then you must be his...
Niece?
Of course.
He ends with a stern warning for her to dress more appropriately for their hotel. And that is the final straw. All she wanted was to buy a dress. The overwhelming feeling of being utterly wronged finally breaks her. She lays the cash on the table, sobbing that she has the money, but no one is willing to take it. And in that moment, seeing her raw, genuine vulnerability, the stern, professional manager's attitude completely softens. He hands her a handkerchief. And then, he makes a call. He doesn't just offer advice. He personally arranges for a department store to send someone to help. Not long after, with new clothes finally in hand, she's back in the safety of her room. And then, the phone rings.
Never, ever pick up the phone.
Why are you calling me?
Edward asked her to wait for him in the lobby at night, and then go to a high-end restaurant to meet an important client. After saying that, he hung up the phone. But a few seconds later, the phone rang again.
Hello?
I told you not to pick up the phone.
Then stop calling me. Sick.
Determined not to embarrass Edward, Vivian spends the afternoon with the hotel manager, taking a crash course in the complicated world of fine dining etiquette. That night, Edward waits in the lobby. He looks around, but Vivian is nowhere in sight. And then, she turns. In that one single breathtaking moment, the brash, loud woman from the street is gone. In her place stands a vision of pure, impossible elegance. She is poised. She is graceful. She is, quite possibly, the most beautiful woman he has ever seen. Edward is left completely speechless.
You're late.
You're stunning.
You're forgiven.
But the dinner itself is a clumsy, comical, and ultimately tense affair. Vivian, despite her best efforts, struggles to navigate the unfamiliar landscape of fine dining. First with the forks, and then with a famously slippery snail that goes flying across the room. Thankfully, their host, a kind old man, meets her awkwardness not with judgment, but with gentle, disarming humor. But then, the atmosphere at the table suddenly changes. This dinner, it turns out, was a final plea from the old man to save his company. But Edward is a businessman, and profit is his only priority. He states his intention clearly. He will break up the company, and its longtime employees will be fired. The dinner ended unhappily. Back at the hotel, the silence is heavy. Vivian notices a crack in Edward's professional armor. He seems downcast. She correctly intuits that he genuinely liked the very man he is about to destroy. Edward deflects, retreating behind his golden rule. I never let emotion interfere with business. And that one sentence strikes a chord deep within Vivian. It is the exact same rule she uses to survive, her own professional shield. It's why I don't kiss on the mouth, she confesses. A business rule, a way to keep her clients separate from her feelings. And in that shared admission, a fragile bridge is built between two profoundly lonely professionals, both hiding in plain sight, in their own self-imposed state of emotional numbness.
You and I are such similar creatures, but we both screw people for money.
Vivian tries to offer a gentle comfort, but Edward is lost in his own world, needing to be alone. She waits, deep into the night. An unfamiliar feeling, a genuine concern for this complicated man, begins to grow in her heart. She puts on a robe and goes to find him. She finds him in the grand, empty dining room, not as a ruthless businessman, but as a small, lonely figure at a piano. His music is not gentle. It is a torrent of frustration and unspoken anger, a private storm he unleashes on the keys. Sensing his deep solitude, she approaches, gently complaining that she's lonely too. A quiet invitation. Understanding, he asks the staff for privacy. And in that moment, beside her, the ruthless corporate raider vanishes completely. He is just Edward, vulnerable for the very first time. But when he leans in to kiss her, a true, intimate kiss, she pulls away. A reflex. The old rule, a fortress built of habit, is still too strong. This night, even after all they've shared, is still, in the end, just business. The next day, Edward wanted Vivian to go and buy a few more clothes, but noticed that she was not very enthusiastic.
They were mean to me.
Mean to you? Stores are never nice to people. They're nice to credit cards.
I am Mr. Hollister, the manager. May I help you? Edward Lewis.
This time, shopping on Rodeo Drive is a different story. The hotel manager's phone call has opened every door. With a nearly unlimited budget, Vivian experiences the pure, dizzying joy of being a valued customer for the very first time. A few hours later, she emerges, a completely different woman. The world itself seems to treat her differently. It is kinder, more polite. And in this new, glittering reality, her own confidence begins to bloom. That evening, a surprise awaits Edward. A romantic candlelight dinner, and Vivian, wearing nothing but the tie she bought for him earlier. It's a playful, audacious, and utterly captivating gesture. In the intimacy that follows, they do more than just share a bath. For the first time, Edward lets his guard down completely. He tells her about his past, about a father he hated, and the cold, ruthless revenge he took by dismantling his father's company, a victory that left him feeling nothing but empty. Vivian's simple, cutting question, "And you're happy now, right?" pierces through his armor. And in his sudden, wounded silence, they find a new, deeper level of connection, built on shared, hidden pain. But just as their fragile truce is established, a new threat emerges. At a polo match, surrounded by Edward's friends, they are the perfect, powerful couple. But his lawyer, already suspicious, watches them with a jealous eye. when he sees Vivian having a friendly chat with the old man's grandson, the very man whose company Edward is destroying. He jumps to the worst possible conclusion. He believes she is a spy, a corporate honey trap, sent to seduce Edward and steal his secrets.
She's not a spy. She is a hooker.
The lawyer burst out laughing and mocked Edward for being so desperate for a woman despite his wealth. Edward didn't take it to heart, but he didn't expect the lawyer to later take advantage of his absence and deliberately flirt with Vivian.
Listen, maybe you and I could get together sometime after Edward leaves.
The accusation hits her like a physical blow. Her new, fragile sense of dignity is shattered. For a few brief, magical days with Edward, she had almost forgotten who she was, or rather, who the world thinks she is. But in this one, cruel moment, she is dragged back to reality. She isn't Cinderella. Back at the hotel, for the first time, they fight. Edward insists he was forced into the situation by his lawyer, that he had to get the information. But his words are cold comfort. She is deeply, profoundly hurt by his betrayal of trust. And Edward, a man unaccustomed to navigating the messy terrain of real emotion, has run out of patience.
I hate to point out the obvious, but you are in fact a hooker, and you are my employee.
You don't own me, I decide, okay? I say who, I say when, I say who!
I refuse to spend the next 3 days fighting with you. I said I was sorry, I meant it. That's the end of it.
I'm sorry I ever met you.
A moment later, Vivian is packed. She coldly tells him the deal is off. She wants her money, and she wants to leave. Edward, still angry, throws a wad of cash onto the sofa. A final, dismissive business transaction. But after she's gone, he looks back. The money is still sitting on the sofa, untouched. And in that one silent gesture, Edward finally understands. This was never about the money. Not for her. It was about respect. He chases after her and, for the first time, offers a sincere, unqualified apology. He even admits something vulnerable. He hated seeing her talking to another man. It is a confession of jealousy, a confession that this is personal. And hearing that, seeing this new, honest side of him, Vivian's anger finally begins to soften.
You hurt me.
Yes.
Don't do it again.
The argument and the reconciliation that followed brings them closer than ever before, and in this new, fragile space of trust. Vivian shares a piece of her past, the real story of how she ended up on the street. It wasn't a grand, dramatic story. It was a simple, desperate one. She couldn't pay her rent. A friend persuaded her it was an easy solution, so she took her first client, and she cried the entire time. But then, day after day, week after week, she just got used to it. The numbness became a kind of survival.
There could be so much more.
People put you down enough, you start to believe it.
I think you are a very bright, very special woman.
The bad stuff is easier to believe.
The next evening, he surprises her with a mysterious date. Vivian emerges in an iconic red dress, her transformation complete. After he presents her with a breathtaking necklace, they step out into the world not as a businessman and a hired woman, but as a truly dazzling couple. Their mode of transport is a private jet. Their destination is an opera. She is a world away from everything she has ever known, worried she won't understand a thing. But as the music swells, she doesn't need to. The raw emotion of the story on stage bypasses her mind and goes straight to her heart. And for the first time, he watches her cry, not from pain or humiliation, but from overwhelming beauty. Back from the opera, a new confidence bubbles up in Vivian. She playfully challenges him to a game of chess. When he deflects, claiming he has to work the next day, she asks a question no one in his corporate world would ever dare to ask. Why can't you just take a day off? And to his own surprise, he does. For the first time in what feels like a lifetime, Edward simply stops. They spend the day not as a billionaire and his escort, but just as two people. Walking, talking, lying on the grass. That night, as she watches him sleep, something inside Vivian finally gives way. All the rules, all the walls she built to protect herself, they no longer make sense. She breaks her one unbreakable rule, a quiet, tender kiss, not for a client, but for the man she has come to love. A gesture of pure, unguarded vulnerability. He wakes to the sound of her quiet sobbing in his arms, a sound of a heart breaking open. And in that moment, he knows, with absolute certainty, this is no longer a deal. This is real. And neither of them can just walk away. On the final day of their week together, the fairy tale comes to an end. The sadness between them is thick and heavy. Edward, in his own clumsy, emotionally stunted way, tries to bridge the gap. He tells her he wants her to stay in his life. For one hopeful second, she thinks this is it. The proposal, the happy ending. But what he offers is not his heart. It's a business proposition. He offers to rent her a lavish apartment, to give her money, a car, to keep her, not as a partner, but as a well-cared-for mistress, a comfortable gilded cage for a beautiful ornament. And it is an offer she rejects with every fiber of her newfound self-worth. Edward is genuinely stunned. He can't understand. From his pragmatic, transactional point of view, it's a good deal. It's better than what you had, he argues, completely missing the point. He still doesn't get it.
When I was a little girl, I would pretend I was a princess trapped in the tower by a wicked queen.
But Vivian delivers her heartbreaking truth. I want the fairy tale, she essentially says. Not a paid-for castle. She wants the real thing, an equal partnership. Her analogy leaves him speechless. The corporate raider in him, the part of him that has fought and clawed for decades, makes it impossible for him to commit. He can't make that promise. What he doesn't realize yet is that in the space of one short week, this impossible, vibrant woman has already begun to change him from the inside out. He is one signature away from closing the biggest deal of his career, the hostile takeover of the old man's company. The final contract is on the table, but at the very last second, something inside him snaps. He calls a halt to the meeting and asks to speak with the old man, alone. And in that private conversation, he does something unthinkable for the man he used to be. He doesn't want to break the company apart anymore. He wants to help rebuild it, with them. The old man is stunned. The ruthless, profit-obsessed shark he had negotiated with is gone. In his place stands a man he doesn't recognize. A man who has finally chosen people over profit.
I find this hard to say without sounding condescending, but I'm proud of you.
The lawyer is furious, livid. Robbed of his massive payday, he goes looking for someone to blame. And he finds his target back at the hotel, Vivian. He sees her as the root of it all, the source of the infection that has changed Edward. He corners her, unleashes a torrent of vile, humiliating insults. And then, he puts his hands on her. And in that one, irreversible moment, Edward appears. There is no hesitation, no calculation, only pure, protective rage. He throws the man he once called a colleague out of his room, out of his life, and out of a job, permanently.
Get out of here! Get out!
After the lawyer left, Edward lovingly applied an ice pack to Vivian. But Vivian said she had to leave. Edward asked her why she was unwilling to accept his condition and stay.
You made me a really nice offer. And a few months ago, no problem, but now everything is different and you changed that and you can't change back. I want more.
The question is how much more?
I want the fairy tale.
Impossible relationships. Stay. Stay the night with me. Not because I'm paying you, but because you want to.
I can't.
This time, she is the one to refuse him. Her heart is aching, but her resolve is firm. She can no longer trade a piece of her soul for a paycheck. The fairy tale is over. Before leaving, she takes a moment to find the hotel manager and say a simple, heartfelt goodbye. He, in turn, treats her not as a problem to be managed, but with a genuine respect, arranging for a car to take her home. That night, alone in his sprawling penthouse, a feeling Edward has felt in decades creeps back in. Emptiness. For 1 week, she had filled a void in his life he didn't even know he had. The fairy tale may be over, but its magic has left a permanent mark. Vivian has changed. She is no longer just drifting through life. For the first time, she has a plan: to find a proper job, to finish high school, to finally take her own future seriously. She leaves her friend Kit with enough money to cover the rent for months. More than that, she leaves her with a small, improbable seed of hope, a vision of another, better way of life. Meanwhile, at the hotel, Edward is also preparing for his departure. He asks the manager for one final favor: to return the expensive borrowed necklace.
It must be difficult to let go of something so beautiful. You know, Daryl also drove Miss Vivian home yesterday.
He cannot and will not ignore his heart any longer. A moment later, a sound drifts through Vivian's open window. An impossible sound. It's the opera. Their opera. She looks outside. And there he is. Her knight. Not on a white horse, but in a white limousine. Not with a sword, but with a bouquet of roses. He is climbing the tower to rescue her. Fueled by a courage he didn't know he had, a man who is terrified of heights, climbs the rusty, grimy fire escape and pulls himself up to her window.
Confidence, I was the one you wanted, wasn't I? Was I? You got everything you wanted, didn't you? But you know I'm right. I don't wanna let you go. One more night, I need you with me one more time. I want every part of your heart.
So what happened after he climbed up the tower and rescued her?
She rescues him right back.
The story of Vivian and Edward may be a fairy tale, an impossible but beautiful dream. Perhaps we love fairy tales not because we believe they are real, but because they provide gentle warmth to hearts wounded by a world that is often unfair. Edward may have been her knight, but the true hero of this story is Vivian herself, her self-awakening. The moment she decided that she was worthy of more, the moment she chose herself. And that is the powerful lesson she leaves with us: to have the courage to start again, to find the clarity to truly love ourselves. Because the fairy tale isn't about the knight who climbs the tower. The fairy tale is learning to be the queen of your own castle, so that whether the knight ever arrives or not, you will always have a beautiful kingdom of your own. Tell the story with heart, tell the story with sincerity. I'm Pixielow, journeying with you so we both may grow. See you in the next video.